Hello, you're listening to the Saluki Gamescast. This is episode 129 for Wednesday, December 3rd, 2025. My name is Justin Young, and joining me as always are Christina Ivey. Well, actually, it's not always.
I was thinking that.
The people are going to be like, oh, that's right, this person's on this show too.
November was hard.
Oh, you got a new member of the podcast? Maybe we should go back. Not as always, introducing Christina Ivey.
Listen.
Tell the people who you are.
Just someone with a very busy November. Because I fell the first week down a flight of stairs, and then
Oh, Mario's laughing hysterically.
Yeah.
This is hilarious.
I only managed to sprain my ankle and bust up my face, but I'm fine.
Well, I mean, that is, I guess, the best case scenario given the situation. It's still not good.
Right. My face looked better after a week. I didn't break my nose or any teeth, which is what I was worried about. I did break the glasses I was wearing.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, but they were some from a cheap online thing. And I didn't break a limb, even though I have a sprained ankle. But yeah, it really was best case scenario, which feels weird saying that about falling down a flight of stairs.
I mean, it always does. Like when somebody gets hurt, somebody's in a car wreck and they're like, oh, I broke my arm. And you're like, well, that's, that sucks. But also,
I don't want to silver line it.
Yeah, right,
At the same
right.
time, we should probably silver line it.
I've been silver lining it basically since I fell. Because the only thing I remember really was waking up on the floor laughing. Which again,
She was laughing too. I'm getting a hard time for this.
because I'm like, oh man, wait till I tell Mario this.
I like Mario's reaction is, I don't know why I'm getting a hard time from laughing at you getting hurt.
But yeah. So
Now, was this at home? Like in your apartment?
I was at a friend's Halloween party, and before anything is said, I was upstairs getting dressed. I had just been there. I'd only been there for an hour and a half maybe. So I was not inebriated. I was not in any other way incapacitated. I'm just really clumsy.
It was just that Smurf costume.
Well, I was a witch, and I was wearing a big gown, but I had the gown
You were a
pulled
Smurf
up.
witch?
I
That's
actually
so
was
weird.
blue, yeah.
Okay, there you go.
It matched my nails, so it was like a dark blue.
I feel like you have to be a different color. You can't be green now because of all the Wicked stuff. Everybody
Yeah.
would just assume that's what you're going for.
I was a blue witch. Yeah.
So you were like an avatar witch.
Yeah.
You want to say that a little bit more enthusiastically?
No, I do not.
Well, we are glad that you are okay now, and actually back with the podcast.
Yeah.
And then also Mario Sanders, who you may have heard,
Laughing.
laughing at the injury of our other guest.
He actually has a very quiet laugh, so you may not have heard it, but
Well, it's more of a chortle.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's good to have both of you back and everything after Thanksgiving break. How was Thanksgiving for both of you?
Good.
It was very low key.
I stayed in Denver. Our big national conference was in Denver, and then I stayed a week later, just hung out with friends and family, and yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, I went home and got to see family and got to hang out with some friends and everything. So that was really cool. Anytime we get together, we started as a group to get together and we would play spades because back in high school we played spades during lunch time, and so every time we got together we would play spades. And then I think finally we've gotten to the point where we're all like, we really don't have to play spades. We actually just like being around each other. It's not like we, we can drop the pretense of why we're all getting together. Like we don't have any other way to play spades. The person with 10 game consoles.
I'm here strictly for the spades. If you could not talk, that would be great.
But yeah, that's always like fun to get together and see people. And you know, like I was reading actually just before break that one of the reasons people have trouble making friendships later in life is that often when we get together with people as we age and everything, getting together with somebody, like you go and meet them for lunch or something, is like, oh, well, tell me what's been going on in your life. And so it's all recap, and that we don't actually make new memories. So we don't build those bonds because we're not building new memories with the people.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, so instead of going and having lunch with somebody, you should actually go like bowling, or you should like, you know, go do something together because you'll actually build memories that way. And I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess I would just also think, you know, if for a lot of people, it's, you know, friends you made within school, those people that you saw every single day, and now you only see them once every few months.
Right.
The catch up kind of has to happen in some ways as well, and so you spend your whole time doing that.
Yeah. It's like
I don't need to know what's new with those people.
well, Alicia actually talked to me over the break prior to NCA and then after, and she was like, how did you make friends? You're moving to a new place. And I was like, luckily I did meet some at work. But I was like, I just had to get involved in things that I knew I liked, and I knew that there would be people there that also liked those things. And so like, becoming a sister, doing, the like local theater stuff that I do, I was like, I'll find people with like interests where my interests are. So I was like, that's all I know how to do.
Yeah, and I feel like for someone like Alicia, there's already that built-in like interest area of theater, right? Like of not just going to theater, but also like maybe volunteering with local theater, maybe children's theater even,
Right.
because there's
I
a
think
lot of parents involved in that.
And should be really good at that, I think.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've had some time off. There's been lots of time to potentially play games, and also certainly a lot of news about video games. So we'll get to that. But first, Christina, why don't you tell us what you've been playing?
Yeah. So a couple of things. The person that I was visiting in Denver has a Switch too, and so I got to play a lot more Mario Kart World, which is fun. So I got to, the only time I had played it was with Alicia over the summer briefly, and so it was nice to visit to play, like race on some tracks that I hadn't been on, and to look at the different characters that this person had unlocked, and so that was a lot of fun. And then the other thing is, Leah, my partner, she has been trying to look into VR for a while, because she's not really a gamer, but she's like, but this sounds fascinating. And so she bought a MetaQuest over Thanksgiving, and then I also got a MetaQuest. And so I haven't had a whole lot of time to mess around with it, but...
like the Black Friday deals you're cashing in on? Yeah.
We had a date last night at some weird McDonald's thing online.
Or it was like VR?
McDonald's or whatever. Yeah. So right now I've played like a couple of like silly shit. Don't judge me.
I feel like, okay. No shame in going to McDonald's for like a date. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like that's the sort of thing teenagers do, right? Because it's cheap. And
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you don't have a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
of money when you're a kid. Having a virtual date in VR McDonald's, like the food's not there.
Sure.
That's the thing, is they've got the money to buy MetaQuests now.
Oh, yeah.
It's actually a
So-
very expensive
So
date.
so all we have left is our time.
But like, you could be anywhere in VR.
Fair. Well, she like, okay, I was at
You
a
chose McDonald's.
I did not. She did. I was at a theme park
Well, she's a bad date.
It was fine. I offered to buy her. They had like a bunch of like fan made McDonald's clothing and stuff for our avatars, and I was like, do you want a hamburger hoodie?
Did you at least get real McDonald's and eat it with your...
No, I had ordered pizza. And so,
Pizza?
They don't have
Were you McDonald's circa 1988?
Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
Mac Pizza?
Meta Pizza Hut or something?
yeah. I mean, I did catch up on Stranger Things over the break, and so, yeah, it felt like that. Maybe that was it. I don't know.
Did you ever have McDonald's pizza?
No, I didn't. No.
Oh, I had it one time.
Is it not good?
No, it was actually like, it was like very comparable to Domino's and stuff of that era.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Like, I mean, it wasn't something amazing, but it was like fast food pizza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think the one in Orlando, there's a McDonald's in Orlando that still serves pizza.
Yeah. So it was more like, I was like, I don't want to do this theme park anymore because I'd made myself nauseous. Like, I rode one of the rides and it was not, I just got motion sickness and I did not expect it, but it happened.
Like a roller coaster? Mm-hmm. Okay. And the fact that it was in VR, like,
yeah.
Do you normally get motion sick in VR?
I have not done a lot of VR.
Okay.
And so I think, I think it was just and I think it was the ride maybe was not a very good one. And so I was like, I can't be here anymore. And she's like, here, I'll send you an invite. And it was to McDonald's.
Okay.
I was like,
Settle the stomach.
Yeah. Settle the stomach with some salt and some grease.
When your stomach's upset, the obvious logical solution is to go to McDonald's.
I mean, yeah.
McDonald's Sprite. The carbonation
the
or something.
crispy one, yes, or spicy, yeah.
The spicy Sprite?
Have you never had them?
It's a joke, like a meme that the McDonald's Sprite has a little extra kick to it.
Yeah, it's spicy.
Well, I mean, the McDonald's Coke products are different. Mm-hmm. Like, they taste different than that we get from anywhere else.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, their Coke is really good, too. But, yeah, to settle my stomach.
But you weren't actually at McDonald's.
Oh, no. But luckily, when I ordered pizza, I also got myself 7-Up. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
that's what I was given as a kid when I was sick.
Exactly. It actually felt, it's like I intuitively knew that.
I'm going to make myself sick.
It's a common thing. It's fine.
Well, I mean, VR actually does that to a lot of people, especially if you play it for too long.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, especially starting out. I feel like VR is the sort of thing, if you sit down and like, I'm going to play 2 hours of VR my first time, like, you will probably be sick at your stomach from doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say, I think the only time I've ever done it, it was like it wasn't even something where you were moving fast. It was like temple exploration type of thing. And even that was still.
Yeah.
But maybe it was because there were certain movements that I didn't have control. Like, you're riding these platforms.
Yeah.
And so it was like the sensation of movement without. Yeah. So that might have been
I was sitting on my couch, but on a roller coaster. And my tummy was like, no, ma'am.
Yeah, it's your inner ear. It's that disconnect that you feel. That's been an issue for a lot of people. A lot of people have trouble with like first-person games where you're moving around, right? Because you're like sort of pushing, and the ones that allow you full movement, like you push the joystick and you move forward, but your body doesn't actually move. Right. So there's like that disconnect. And that's why a lot of those first-person games in VR have you like more pointing to somewhere where you want to be and hitting the button.
Sort of warp there.
Yeah, you sort of warp around instead of actually walking.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I get that. I don't get motion sick in VR, but I do get extremely fatigued after using it for a while. Like my eyes and head sort of get tired.
Yeah.
So.
The only other thing I've played with it is Tetris, but it's the one that was released on PlayStation.
The Tetris Effect.
Yeah. And that didn't bother me. And so there's
no movement in that.
True,
really.
true.
I feel like, and it's interesting because, it feels like some of the most popular games are those ones that don't actually have any movement, like that or Beat Saber. I mean, you're moving your arms, but,
but
you know, you have, that disconnect doesn't happen.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's, I think there's a very good reason why those games have been the ones that have taken off in VR.
For sure.
And I think those are both fantastic experiences. Like, I mean, Beat Saber, I don't think is the most amazing game, but I completely get why it's the thing that sells a lot of people on VR. Yeah. Like, it's very intuitive, easy to understand, pick up, and it's fun, right?
That has definitely been the one, like, oh man, that would be fun. I don't want to really buy a full VR rig type of thing, but it is the one that I'm always like, oh, that would be a lot of fun to try out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I have that VR headset. We should do something sometime.
That'd be
fun. Because we can bring that in, and I have Beat Saber. Actually, I can't think of the name of it right now, but there's another one that I like better than Beat Saber because it's more kind of moving your whole body and everything. Cool. There's also Just Dance, or not Just Dance, Dance Central. They did one of those for VR.
How the old Xbox Kinect ones.
Yeah, and so it's really good at sort of, measuring your whole body doing the dancing.
Oh, that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
If you want to look really goofy.
I'm prepared.
All right, cool. So played some VR. Anything else?
Not really.
All right, cool. I'll look forward to hearing more of your adventures in VR.
Next week is going to be Burger King.
Yeah, she's just hitting up all the virtual fast food places.
Perfect.
You'll go to the Popeyes that hasn't been cleaned in like 3 months.
The virtual IHOP where the Sonic meals never went away.
Where they're named the correct thing. Yeah.
The waiter knows what you're talking about.
I don't have to look at a sign and point. Give me this.
That was what was so crazy about that, is they had the signage up everywhere. And when we said it, he was like, what are you talking about?
I pointed to mine. He was like, oh, the chocolate pancakes. Yep, that's exactly what I want.
No, it's this one.
It's the knuckle cakes. See?
When you give them, though, can you call them shadow cakes? Thank you.
All right, cool. So Mario, how about you? What have you been playing?
Yeah, so over November, I may have mentioned this the last time we recorded. A friend does an event, and so this year was all Super Nintendo games. So played through a bunch of those, a lot that people are already familiar with. Kirby's Dream Course, Super Mario World, Donkey Kong Country. But the one that people definitely know, or almost certainly know, that I had never played before was Chrono Trigger. And so I got to play through that. The goal was to do 100% of it, so like all the side quests and stuff like that. And I mean, I get why people love that game so much, why it's so influential, and that's a game that holds up really well. Yeah, even whatever it is, 30 years later now. Yeah, the art in that game has not aged as badly as some of its contemporaries, I feel like. And I think that obviously includes, I'm thinking, the backgrounds and stuff like that, but I think, Akira Toriyama, who did all the Dragon Ball series, did the character designs. And so, and Dragon Ball, in terms of its art style, also still holds up. And so it's one of those things that when a certain creator has a particular style, there's a reason why these have stood the test of time. Sure. Yeah. As compared to others. And it's definitely, there are moments where it feels a little dated. There are certain aspects, certain fights in particular, where I was like, that wasn't very enjoyable, but overall that's a really fun game. I think that there's a ton of replayability just with all the different endings, which I didn't realize was a thing. But and then, getting to try out different party formations, if that's the right way to phrase it. But it's a fun game.
I've always felt like that game is sort of, here's everything that has built up to this point when it comes to that style of Japanese role-playing game, right? Like when you look at everything like the Final Fantasies and the Dragon Quest and the Phantasy Stars, all of them kind of build up to that game. And it feels like the sort of perfect synthesis of all those franchises.
Sure.
I don't even necessarily think it's the best of all those, but I understand why it's the one that people talk about so much now, and it's the one that people go back and play. If they're going to play one of those, it's the first one they go back and play, because it just, it just feels like, okay, this is that era of game perfected.
Sure. Yeah, I think my only, and this is probably specific to me, and I think it's also just this is not a Chrono Trigger problem. This just like is a problem I think with a lot of JRPGs, is the magic is so overpowered that it's just like, why would I ever do a basic attack? I forget what I was playing last year, the year before, but there was a game, some RPG that I was playing. I was like, oh, it actually feels good to just do like your normal basic attack. Like it feels like there's some value. Whereas if you're doing like the normal base attack, I'm just like, I could be doing like triple the damage if I just do the magic instead, which to some extent I understand, you're paying the, MP to do these other moves. So like there's some cost associated with it. But I do think that tends to be an issue with JRPGs, is that there's not always the best balance of that fight system. Again, and this is a very loose criticism. I think the game is really phenomenal, and I would like to go play it again at some point. But that is the one thing that I was just like, yeah, this is just kind of how they all are.
Yeah, I think it's one of the reasons I actually like Final Fantasy VI more than Chrono Trigger. I like the story better, but like I also like the battle system because I think it's more diverse. There's more characters that have unique battle mechanics to them, that you're not just spamming, Fire 3 or whatever every time you get into battle. But, it's like Chrono Trigger is still an amazing game.
Like I said, I think it's still, if not a 10 out of 10, that's pretty dang close. Like that, there's a reason. That's a game. I feel like there are a lot of those games from back then where you're like, I mean, it's a classic, but it'd be hard to recommend. I don't think there's any hesitation. And like, if somebody was interested, yes, you should play that game.
Yeah, I mean, Sonic the Hedgehog is a perfect example of that. Really hard to recommend. Actually, those are the Sonic the Hedgehogs I would recommend, the 16-bit ones.
So yeah, I played through that, and that was, like I said, a really good time. The other one that was not part of that event, though, that I've been playing on my own is the first Trauma Center game on the DS, which I think it's made by Atlas.
That sounds right.
Yeah, they make so many of those games, but this was the one that's like, essentially, like the story is like sort of presented to you as a virtual novel, and then you have these surgeries that you are performing as the like actual gameplay throughout.
Yeah, and it's a little bit like Virtual Operation.
Like very much so. Yeah, and it's okay. I think I've always been interested, like I've seen them and I've always been interested in playing them. And so when I got this one, I was excited to try it. This is going to sound stupid because I get that like you're doing surgery. The precision that is required with a Nintendo DS stylus is a little much.
These patients, they expect so much of you. Like when you cut into them, they expect you to be accurate. Look, your spleen's down there somewhere. I don't know. I'll get to it eventually.
Like I said, I know it sounds stupid, but
Dr. Ross, you are not.
But yeah, like I said, I think that there's That, and then the fact that when you fail, there's no skipping back through dialogue that you've already seen.
Sure.
And so it's just like, I'm frustrated because of like, I felt like I was barely off on this one thing. And then it's like, well, now I'm just button mashing to get back to where I was, and going through all of like the earlier steps as well. And so like, I understand that that's just how it is. So there's not really much you could do about that, but it makes the game more frustrating and like kind of tilt inducing because of it, because the frustration is partially with me of like making the mistake, but then also of now I have to go through and do all this. Like, lady, stop talking to me. I know what you want me to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's the Tony Hawk solution, right? Like the brilliance of the Tony Hawk games, the reason that those games are so successful. I mean, there's lots of reasons, but like one of the big ones that people don't value a lot is the instant restart to a level.
Sure.
Like you want to restart, like even if you're in the middle of a run and you've messed it up and everything, you can instantly restart, and it's like instantaneous. Like there's no delay there. And I feel like a lot of games like what you're talking about fall into that trap of, okay, like I messed up or I lost the level, and now it's going to be 10 minutes or something for me to get back doing what I'm doing. And that's the reason you bounce off so many games.
Yeah. And I think, and the worst one, which, so you're doing surgery on a bomb, and usually you can like miss so many times. And there are certain areas where you can miss, but there are others where you miss once and it blows up and everybody's dead. And it's like, again, I get it. That doesn't make it any less frustrating when one thing forces you to then have to restart this whole process over again. Yeah. And I think games, it feels like that's a lesson that a lot of games have learned in terms of like skippable dialogue and skippable cutscenes. Right. I know the Kingdom Hearts games, the first ones on the PS2, were pretty notorious of making you watch the cutscenes again if you lost a battle or lost a fight. And the final mixes like made all that dialogue skippable. And so, it's just like, I don't know when this game came out. Maybe mid 2000s, 2008, 2009, maybe even earlier than that.
Yeah, probably a little earlier than that. A DS game, probably more like
2004-ish.
Yeah, 2004, 2005, maybe.
And so yeah, it's just this is one of those instances of like, oh, holy moly.
Games have gotten a lot better.
Yeah, like just all those quality of life changes that we take for granted in games today.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk about the language of games, the like literacy of games, developers of games are much more literate on how to make a good game, right? Like, and that's decades of knowledge of like building off of games that have come before them. And we don't always appreciate that. Like myself, I don't always appreciate that, but like exactly what you're talking about, when I lose a level and I can instantly restart, or I can skip dialogue or cutscenes, I'm like, oh man, like I remember the era when you could not do this sort of thing. And I remember how just obnoxious it was.
I remember having a conversation with somebody at a conference where we were talking about old games. And I think this is similar to some of the work that you've done on nostalgia, is like going back and playing old games today, unless you have like the exact hardware, if you're playing it on emulator or you're playing it on the virtual console where you can now skip through a lot of that stuff, or you can make a save state. Because I remember the first time I played Parasite Eve, there's that very final fight, there's like a one-hit kill, and there's nothing you can really do about it. And then you got to sit through all of these cutscenes again. I was just like, nope, save state right here, right before the start of the fight, so that I don't have to continually sit through this if I get owned by something I have basically no control over.
Yeah, and I feel like games in that era weren't dinged as much for those sorts of design choices. Yeah. Where today a game would be instantly dinged, and there might be a patch.
It feels like a glaring flaw in a game today, whereas back then it's like, that's just kind of how they were.
Yeah, I mean, games have gotten better.
Yeah.
Like for all those rose tinted nostalgia glasses, you go back and play a lot of games. Yes, the Chrono Triggers are fantastic. Yes, the Super Metroids are fantastic. The Resident Evils are fantastic. But almost everything else, like you realize
The ones
how
that
much
people don't talk about.
well, you just realize how much those games were getting wrong.
Sure.
Like even the games that were very close to those, you played the Blue Stingers of the world and you're like, yeah, they're making a Resident Evil, but they're getting it all wrong. And I just feel like, yeah, games still get stuff wrong, but they don't get as much wrong in as glaring ways.
Yeah, there's certain things that feels like a consensus don't do this.
Yeah.
And most people are good enough to not do it.
Yeah. It's more notable when somebody does do it now.
Well, I think that was one. So the other game that I had played recently that I know I've talked about is Dispatch. And like as a game where your choices matter and like there are all these branching paths, it feels like a pretty big miss to not make like a chronology in the game where you can just like immediately jump back to a specific point so that you can take that other branching path.
Which is what
So many virtual novels like going back have done that. Like that's been an established thing. And so that feels like a pretty big miss. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, well, because I was just thinking of like Detroit Become Human is the one that I've probably played the most recent, even though I know it's been out for quite a while.
The Quarry.
Yeah, Quarry's another one. Yeah. But I was thinking about, because I don't know, Detroit Become Human felt so like, because it's one of the ones that at the end it would show you the branch.
Right.
Yeah. And
it shows you a whole map of
exactly
the choices you made.
And I remember thinking like it would be so nice to just be able to click. Okay, so here is where I decided to go this way. I want to see what's this way, right?
Yeah.
That's where like 999 and VLR have these like very easy jump off points.
Yep.
And it shows you like, here's the decision. You went this way. Now go back and do it the other way. And so it would have been nice for that game to have that. Maybe they'll patch that in at some point now that it's been out and all of the chapters or the episodes for Dispatch are out. It feels like that should be something that they put into the game.
Absolutely.
And I feel like, speaking of things that have become like the standard, that is something that is becoming standard in those sort of narrative splitting style games.
Yep.
Right.
So I know the Quarry people do those dark picture games, and then also obviously the David Cage games of Detroit Become Human and Beyond Two Souls and those sorts of games. A lot of those are moving more towards that style of, because it's just like, I don't want to, this game is 15 hours long. I don't want to go replay the entire game.
Exactly.
And I don't know where I need to have save spots so that I can go back later and pick up this alternate path choice. So just build it into the game for me, right? Like, don't artificially inflate the length of your game by making me replay it 5 or 6 times in full.
And especially now that like auto saving is a thing, so where that like might not even be a thing you can really do, is like trying to create these specific things.
Right.
And I don't like I said, virtual novels have usually been really good because you can jump right in, and then if there's dialogue that you've already heard, they'll let you fast forward through that. But if it's dialogue that you haven't heard, it will make sure that it doesn't skip over it. And so it's just like, so I think games are starting to get there.
Yeah.
But like I said, talking about all these like, I don't know if mechanic is the right word, but whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, mechanics, I think.
Just the ways that certain norms or trends get established is like, this is just the way that they work from now on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think those are probably the two things that I would talk about.
Okay. Let's see. I played a few different things. I guess I'll start with the big one first. I played Hollow Knight Silksong. So I finally gave in and decided to play it.
As a person who doesn't love the original Hollow Knight, how is it?
Yeah, let me establish that up front. I don't love the original Hollow Knight. It did not connect with me. So I went into this one a little trepidatious because it's getting all this praise, and I kind of knew that it would. I knew the diehard Hollow Knight fans would eat it up. And so I was like, it's like everybody loves a movie and you're like, oh man, like I'm not going to like this. And I don't want to be in conversations with people who love it. And like, say Wicked Part 2. I don't want to be in conversations with people who love it because I don't want to rain on their parade.
Yeah.
So I did not like Wicked Part 2 or Wicked for Good. After liking the first part of that, I did not like the original Hollow Knight when I tried it. I actually like this.
Okay.
I actually think they do maybe a better job of onboarding you with this one. Mm-hmm. I think the introduction
interesting
is a smoother introduction than in the original Hollow Knight. So I know in the original Hollow Knight, I felt like it just threw me into the world and I had no direction on where to go or what to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which I get, a lot of people think that's, that is what Metroidvanias are. But if you go back and play the classics, the ones that give it its name, like Super Metroid or Symphony of the Night, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, if you play those games, they have a pretty guided introduction to those games. Like the first couple of hours of those games, well, maybe not the full couple hours, first hour, let's say, of those games are not entirely linear, but are at least very directed.
It's the classic, like, tell me where to go without telling me where to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like this game does a better job with that.
Has it made you interested in going back and playing the original Hollow Knight again, or?
Yeah. I mean, it has. I always felt like I probably just didn't get the original Hollow Knight. Like,
there's like three friends that we all feel this same way of like, it must be my fault.
Well, I mean, like sometimes art doesn't connect with you.
Sure.
For whatever reason. When I would teach film, I would tell students like all these different things that affect you when you go see a movie, right? Like if you watch it at home versus watching it in a theater, if you're on a date versus, watching it in school on, the last day before Christmas, like all these things affect how you feel about art when you encounter it. You're in a good mood or a bad mood, you feel sick or whatever. You've just eaten at a virtual McDonald's, right? Will affect how you feel. Look, VR McDonald's is almost certainly going to be the title of this episode. I just feel like we're there. And so, looking at this and like having a better experience with this one, I feel more inclined to go back and be like, okay, well, maybe I just wasn't in the right headspace. Maybe I just approached it in the wrong way originally picking up and playing because I have those preconceived notions of what a Metroidvania should sort of play like and everything. I will say about this game, and this was similar to the issues I had with the original, I don't love the way that it feels. I don't love the way that it controls. I feel like it's not the most fluid of controls. And so when I compare it to something like, say, the Prince of Persia game last year, right? The Lost Prince? Is that the
Crown?
Lost Crown, yeah. I can never keep the subtitle of that game right. But I feel like that game feels incredible the entire time you're playing it. That's a game that just, feels sort of like silk, like butter as you're controlling it and everything. This is a little more, the controls are a little more tight the entire time that you're playing it. And the other criticism I'll lay against it is that it's really hard. And, I know the reaction to that is get good. I play a lot of video games. I played the Ninja Gaiden Ragebound and Art of Vengeance Shinobi this year. Those are games people complained about being too difficult, and I think those games are fantastic. I just feel like this game is punishingly difficult a lot of times. It's just, you don't have a lot of energy. Things are constantly attacking you, and they attack you in sort of unconventional ways, so that you just never feel like you're getting into a really good groove as you like get through, navigating the environment, because it's a Metroidvania. You're having to do a lot of backtracking and different things.
So that's why I had said interesting when you talked about the onboarding, because that's what I had heard, is that the early part of the game is really hard.
It is,
So, yeah.
And I think that's a completely fair criticism of it. Making a note.
I know, I saw it. She just wrote VR McDonald's down on his sheet.
I don't have Alicia here to make notes for me anymore. But anyways, so yeah, I mean, I think that will still turn people off. And I think as a design decision, it's not necessarily worthwhile. Like, I feel like it's a design decision. I feel like it's a design decision they've made that is going to turn off a lot of players.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was us that speculated about it or if it was somebody else that I was talking about. But if that game was originally planned as DLC, where it's like you've got like all this time already put into the original Hollow Knight, so you've developed a skill set in terms of like your familiarity with the controls and stuff. But if you haven't played that, or maybe you haven't played it as much, that's a pretty steep learning curve. It sounds like.
I mean, I will say I don't think it's so overwhelming that it's a hurdle that you're not going to be able to get over. Like, if you're dedicated enough, if you have experience playing this style of 2D action game, I think you will get along fine eventually. You just might get frustrated.
Yeah.
And, we were talking about modern games versus, say, 16-bit era games. A lot of modern games aren't designed around making you frustrated. And this is a game that is designed around frustrating you at times. That all being said, because I feel like I've talked a lot negatively about it, it's fantastic as a Metroidvania. Like, I mean, it's doing a lot of like fun, interesting stuff, like the world, the way it sort of double backs on itself, the like secrets that you can find and everything. All that's fantastic. I completely get why people really like this game. I don't think I like it as much as some other people have liked it, but I'm also not through the game yet, so I've got a lot more to go. But it's a good game. Let's see. The other thing I played a game called Sectori. So Sectori is basically Geometry Wars evolved. It is somebody took Geometry Wars and tried to make a modern take on that is a roguelike. So you're getting upgrades as you go along. As you kill enemies, they sort of leave behind a collectible. You gather up that collectible. If you gather up enough of that, then you get like gems that pop up in the world, and you can collect those. And then it's sort of like Gradius. You collect one gem and it gets you the first power up, so you can cash that in, but you can also just collect more and work your way up the ladder to a more powerful power up that you're choosing. And then also, while you're going through the world, there are bosses, unlike Geometry Wars, and the world is also always changing around you. So, like, when you begin the game, the environment may be like just a square, and then as you go through, it may change into a triangle. It may change into like 3 squares that are connected via like little warp points. And so that is all happening while you're playing. So the world around you is changing. And if your ship is in one of those areas that's about to close off, it will kill you. So it is a game that, even more than the original Geometry Wars, is forcing you to constantly move while you're playing it. This is the sort of game I like, this sort of like Twitch arcade kind of shooter of this style and everything. This is made by some of the people from Housemarque Games, who made Returnal. This is some of their ex-developers made this game. And they made a game called, what is that game called? Is it Ex Machina is the name of the game? That was a shooter from a few years back that I really, really liked. This reminds me of that game in some ways. So, but it's a Twitch arcade shooter. It's really hard. And so I think your enjoyment will be like, how much are you willing to sort of persist at it and get some, accomplishments out of it. But it's very fun. If you like the original Geometry Wars, this is a good sort of spiritual follow-up to that. Nice. And the last thing that I played a little bit of was the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. So this is the new collection of the original first 4 Mortal Kombat games, so 1 through 4. And then in addition to that, it has Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat Trilogy, which is the like sort of hacked together version that has different versions of different characters from the first 3 games. This includes the Mortal Kombat, what are those games called? The Sub-Zero one.
Oh, yeah. Mythologies.
Mythologies, right. I was thinking anthology, but Mythologies is the subtitle. So it's got that, and the Special Forces one, I think it's the other one that's in it. This is a really cool collection. I mean, if you like the original Mortal Kombat games, this is really fantastic. It does some really cool things, like you can sort of turn on some of the secrets and everything in the menus for it. You can put the move sets on the screen. So these games were originally 4x3. So you can kind of fill out the sides of your widescreen television with the move sets over on the side, which is really useful for somebody like me who doesn't know a lot of the move sets. And those are like per character. So it'll be like, if you're playing as Scorpion, it'll be your specific special moves over on the side. So like it was in an arcade, those fighting games used to have at least some of the moves over on the side. Yeah. So it's replicating that. And then this is also, in the same style as Atari 50. So it has a lot of documentary stuff. So they've gone and shot new documentary footage, not only with people like Ed Boon and the team behind those games over the years, but like they've also gone and interviewed people in the game industry talking about, here's the significance of these games, right? Like here's the impact that they had on the game industry. And because this is a more modern series, and because it's a series that I think everybody knows the characters were shot on video and then they rotoscoped them into the game. Because of that, they actually have a lot of behind the scenes footage of, here is the footage we shot of Johnny Cage, and this is, how we turned him into a character in the game. Oh, cool. So they have a lot of that, a lot of behind the scenes footage of them shooting that sort of footage and everything. So it's just really fascinating. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Mortal Kombat, but like, it's a series that is hugely influential in modern video games in multiple different ways, not just as fighting games, but also as the building a mythology, right? And something that has now turned into films and television shows, cartoons, all sorts of different things. Right. So all of that's really fascinating to watch that and kind of get that better sense. And this also is one of the first one of these that actually does the thing that I've been really interested in, and kind of going back some of my research in. When you look at older games, you take Miner 2049er, for example, like that's a game I love, but like which version of that game do you preserve? Because that game has been ported like 19 different times. So one of the things they do that's really neat in this is if you go and play Mortal Kombat 1, there is Mortal Kombat 1, the arcade game that but then it's also, they've included the Super Nintendo version, the Genesis version, the Game Boy version, the Game Gear version. So you're just really getting all these different versions of the game that you can kind of compare. And, you might have owned the Genesis version and not really have a lot of experience with the arcade version. And so it's giving you that chance to sort of compare and also experience the version that you're more familiar with, that you have the actual nostalgia for. So I think it's a really, like all of their packages, this is the Digital Eclipse guys, like all their packages, it's just an amazing package when you look at it with the games and the documentary stuff, all of that put together. So, I mean, I would highly recommend it if you are at all interested or at all a fan of the Mortal Kombat games. It's worth checking out. Excuse me. All right. Well, let's move on into news. Excuse me. And we talked about this story a little before we went on break, that Electronic Arts was selling to a consortium of investors, including the Saudi Arabia Sovereign Investment Fund. This news has now come out that Saudi Arabia is part of that deal. It was a little maybe confusing or maybe intentionally misleading when the deal was announced about like how that would be split up. Saudi Arabia is going to own 93% of Electronic Arts, which kind of makes you look at it and go, well, why even bother bringing in somebody else for that 7%, except that maybe the entire argument is, oh, well, that way we're not selling an American company entirely to Saudi Arabia.
Right.
We can make this argument that, oh, no, there's American investors involved in this as well. But basically, Electronic Arts is going to be pretty much entirely controlled by Saudi Arabia. The other issue that kind of ties into this is the Saudi Arabia Sovereign Investment Fund is apparently running low on money, which one of the concerns we talked about when we originally talked about this story was, anytime a company sells, that means cuts. Mm-hmm. So if they're running a little low on money, that makes it sound even more like there might be significant cuts at Electronic Arts, maybe to the point where you start looking at it going, what do they even keep of Electronic Arts, of a very old storied company from the early 1980s, and you start to think, well, basically, are they going to keep Madden and FIFA? And is that all that Electronic Arts is 5 years from now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's cuts and probably a lot of AI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AI soccer players. That is the future for Electronic Arts.
That, that number is so big of 93%. And it really is like any, I think we had talked about at one point in terms of like also just representation in games as well. And I think you could probably say pretty confidently, like, what kinds of people will and will not be represented in EA games anymore. Thinking of, queer characters and, how female characters will get represented as well. And so,
like the Mass Effect games, as an example, right? Like, are pretty famous for allowing not only for you to play as a male or female character, but to romance whoever you want as that character.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think when the news like first came out, it was like, okay, well, it would really depend on like how much say would, they actually be able to have. That number says that they get to pretty much say the entire thing.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I actually do wonder, do they just scrap everything that's not the sports games?
It does. I mean, especially with how heavily Saudi Arabia has invested in sports. Well, they've got their massive soccer league.
Sure. The Live Golf Tour.
Golf.
Yeah. Honestly, wrestling.
I would say WWE is like very tightly in a relationship with Saudi Arabia. So, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, I think you start looking at this, and of course, we're supposed to get a new Mass Effect. Does that actually ever come out? We're probably never getting another Dragon's Age because that last one, vastly underperformed.
What is it? BioWare? That's
BioWare.
the sub company, right? Yeah. Unless they are able to go independent or they sell those things off, right?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that would, I guess that's the hope is like, not rather than just cutting it, that they sell it to a different company or allow them to go independent, sort of buy themselves out or something.
Which normally doesn't happen in the game industry. People, once they own IP, they want to hold on to it. But the thing might be, if they are short on cash, you go, okay, we'll sell the pieces off, right? Because there's a lot of IP that's owned by Electronic Arts. The Wing Commander games, the Ultima games are owned by Electronic Arts.
And even if they have fallen off in recent years, like from where they were at least, I think Mass Effect and Dragon Age would still pull in something. Like, it feels like some company would like, yeah, we would love to make a Mass Effect game or use this IP for whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think Amazon are the ones who are making a Mass Effect TV series, supposedly. We'll see if that actually ever comes out. Let's see. The CEO of Roblox, David Basuki?
Sure.
Yep. It doesn't matter.
Did an interview with the New York Times. So apparently Roblox asked for this interview, which just telling you that up front, because during this interview, he became angry with the questions that he was being asked about Roblox. Particularly, a lot of it was about obviously child safety, which has been the big story we've talked about multiple times on here. At one point, he called predators, quote, an opportunity as well. So he's talking about child predators, which was, I don't think he means in the way that it comes off, but like it's just so horribly phrased.
Yeah.
And then as the interview continued, he became sort of, as noted, angry, sort of agitated. He started giving sort of childish responses to the questions, saying things like high five in response to questions they were asking him about protecting kids and making Roblox a safe environment. And I think just to go back to what we originally said about this, Roblox is a game mostly played by children, right? Like, this is not something like Mortal Kombat where, some kids play this, but like it is an M-rated franchise.
The target demographic is children.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they would say it's everybody, but it's children.
Yeah, I mean, it is a game. I don't know anybody over 18 who is playing it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Unless you're like a famous streamer who's, who's trying to create
whose
content.
Audience is kids.
Right. Yeah.
Who's monetizing the kids, right? Yeah. So I think that's the reason their continued responses to the controversy surrounding this, to the concerns around it, just seems so insane. It would be like if Disney had a pedophile problem and Disney was like,
yeah, high five.
Yeah, Disneyland.
It just seems so tone deaf every single time.
Well, it's obvious why children are like really love or dig this game, and their CEO is a child, basically. I don't know.
No, I mean, yeah, like you have somebody who is acting like a 12-year-old, like in an interview, like, okay, well, like that's probably why you know how to attract kids to this game.
Has anybody asked, do we maybe have a big situation here?
I
Has
feel
anybody
like
looked into it?
I feel like Tom Hanks was significantly better about like the toys he was recommending. Remember, like he was wise enough to say playing with a building is not fun. Like they should turn into bugs and stuff.
Well, no, if like somebody just roll out one of those pianos
true,
in front of him,
true.
and if he starts to play it, then we know.
The FAO Schwartz piano. Like I think in our group chat we said, over under on this guy being CEO 6 months from now. And it really feels like under at this point.
Yeah, I don't know what sort of like board of executives they've got, but you've got the investors, the stakeholders are like, oh my God, my man, you've got to stop talking.
Well, especially because they asked for this interview.
Yeah. Well, I think that's like, you can't stop talking, but we need you to stop talking.
Yes.
We need better people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We need more PR savvy people in this position.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least doing the interviews for us. Let's see. Yacht Club Games, they are the makers of Shovel Knight and the various Shovel Knight side projects and everything. Their next game is Mina the Hollower, which is supposed to be out before the end of the year. We'll see if that makes it.
I think it already got delayed because I want to say it was supposed to come out in October.
Yeah, I think it got delayed from October till December, right?
Oh, okay. I'm seeing an unspecified date, but we'll see.
Okay. Last I heard, it was still supposed to come out this year sometime. Okay. But they gave a new interview in which they described Mina the Hollower as a make or break for the studio. Which, when you think about Hollow Knight, as huge as that game is, this idea of their next game, which doesn't look like an insanely expensive game. It's not like their next game they were like, we're going to make a photorealistic 3D action game or something. But anyways, for this next game to be a make or break, I think says a lot, when it comes to these indie studios and their survivability, because few indie games have been as big as hits as Hollow Knight has.
Shovel Knight,
yes. There's too many Knight games.
No, when I saw that, I was like, wow, those are the people that made Shovel Knight, and they're at a make or break when, again, you think about how big that game, well, like, that's, if you were to create like a Mount Rushmore of indie games of the last 10 years, it feels like that's all 100% on it.
Yeah.
And they actually gave some figures
in the conversation. Sorry.
No, I agree. They gave some figures on this. They said 500,000 in sales would be fantastic. They'd be great. They said 200,000, they'd probably be fine. They said if this game sells 100,000, they're in substantial trouble and would need outside money to continue as a studio.
That's always interesting to put into context because those numbers don't seem that big. But for a game like this, maybe they are.
Well, I mean, I just go back to, remember we looked up those Five Nights at Freddy's figures. Yeah. And those Five Nights at Freddy games were selling in the hundreds of thousands. They weren't selling, 5 or 6 million like you thought.
Sure.
So, yeah, I mean, you think about this game, if it comes out and, it underperforms in some way.
I played the demo of it when it first was announced, and looks like a cool game. But we'll see. I mean, all the best to him. I hope it works out. Yeah.
I think it also speaks to how easy it is for games to get lost in this day and age.
Yeah, especially those little indie games.
I mean, they have a sort of leg up because they're a very well-known indie studio. But, you think about anybody else putting this game out, 200,000 sales is not a guarantee.
No, absolutely not. And maybe that's what it is I'm thinking about, I don't know what Shovel Knight actually sold, the numbers on that.
It sold in the millions.
But that would be my assumption. But that's where I guess I think like, 200,000, it should hit that easily. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Let's see. The Splinter Cell remake, they have a new director. It is David Gribble, who was the former director. He worked on the game from 2021 to 2022. He left for 3 years. He has now come back. He is the director of the game again. And mostly I included this just because think about that timeline.
That's got to be a great sign.
That game has been in development now for 5 years. A remake of Splinter Cell. And the fact that he has come back and the game's not done after 3 years of him being gone, and they put him back in charge, which says maybe something wasn't going right in the development.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you think maybe we're not going to see that game for at least another year or two. Yeah. So if you were looking forward to that game, don't hold your breath.
Well, and I mean, obviously this is a much bigger team, bigger studio, but maybe that's where you also, to go back to our previous story, how long these games take to make. Like,
sure.
Mina the Hollower isn't getting made in 6 months, but if your entire income is whatever you made off of Shovel Knight, and now you have to essentially funnel that, it's like you kind of just like each game keep us floating, and until whatever the next game we release is. And so
yeah, and I think that's something you look at a Shovel Knight and people don't take into consideration. They go, oh, well, they sold millions of copies of that. They must all be rich now. And you think, well, but they've been working on their next game now for several years, right? And they're having to funnel that money they made into this. They're not, I assume they're all getting some sort of salary, but they're not getting a salary from an outside funder.
Exactly, yeah.
Like they're funding all that themselves. So if their next game doesn't work, right, like they'll need some other source of income, which means you dissolve the studio and you go work for someone else.
Or your studio gets bought by some bigger studio.
Right.
It gets bought by Embracer and then
sold
shut down or sold off in a year. Let's see. We talked about Sonic the Hedgehog a little earlier. Well, Paramount has now set a new Sonic spin-off film for December 22nd, 2028. We know it's a spin-off film because Sonic 4 has already been given a date of March 19th, 2027. So they're not turning around releasing Sonic 5, a year and a half later. So here's the game. Guess what the Sonic spin-off film will be focused on?
It's got to be Knuckles, right? I mean, maybe not because Knuckles got his own show.
Is it Shadow?
Yeah,
I was
that would
thinking
also make
Shadow.
sense. I still haven't seen Sonic 3. I probably should, but
It's good.
I'm sure I'll enjoy it enough. But
Those
Or
films
maybe one of them is finally listening to our podcast and we're going to get the Big the Cat movie that we
oh, brother.
at that point, they are just doing Marvel. Like, they're going to give him his own, origin story film.
Big and Froggy.
And at the end, he meets up with Sonic and they join forces.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I would go see that film.
Yeah. It would just be all of us.
It can't be as bad as the Garfield film. So, speaking of cat animated films. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of interesting. Like, they've had obviously huge success with those films. So, I would say those films have progressively gotten better, which, look, I am the biggest surprised person in the world about that fact. After that first one came out, I was like, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. That's actually a pretty good movie for kids. And then they made the second one. I was like, wait, that's actually a better film.
Tell Justin a decade ago, you know what video game franchise is going to make it so that video games work in film? Sonic.
Hey, I would be willing to bet, not the sole reason, but at least part of the reason that we have gotten the Mario movies now was the success of the Sonic movies.
Sure. I feel like it reinstilled some maybe we can make this work.
Yeah.
Right? That and The Last of Us, at least the first season.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like when, the Batman, or even going back a little earlier, the X-Men films came along and showed you can actually make good comic book movies.
Sure.
And, we eventually ended up with the MCU out of that. for better or for worse.
Yeah.
Let's see. Fortnite fans claim that artwork in the new season of the game is AI. The developers have denied it. Some of the examples were Marty McFly is in this new season. So there's a scene with clocks behind him. And the actual artist who made that came out and said, yeah, I probably took those clocks from some stock imagery and everything, and maybe the clocks. I think people were pointing to some of the time on the clocks isn't correct or anything. They're analog style clocks, and maybe it's not 12 dashes, but like 14 dashes around the clock or something. And he said, "Look, that's it, but like I didn't use AI in it." And then they were also pointing to there is an image of a character in a hammock, and the character only has 9 toes. And so, the developers seem to be saying, no, this is like maybe misleading the way you're looking at the images and everything, but we promised there was no AI used in this.
They do have 9 toes, though.
Oh, did you look up the image? Yeah. And I think the bigger story here isn't so much whether they used it or not. We had talked about previously, the accusations against Call of Duty for also using AI. I think the bigger story here is this is going to happen to every single game that comes out now.
That, to me, that image, I'd almost be willing to give a pass just because, like, cartooning, there's no real rules when it comes to stuff like that.
The Simpsons have 4 fingers.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I get that, like, there's 2 feet on the same person and there's different numbers of toes on them. But again, I just like those I could understand as being like a stylistic decision, even if it is awkward.
Or even a mistake in Photoshop, right?
Sure.
Because any work, even if it's being drawn by hand, was probably being drawn digitally, I would think, in most cases.
Yeah.
But like you then are editing that, and through the editing process, maybe you make a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wonder, like, we're starting to see this with movies and everything. I mean, one of the questions that has been asked of James Cameron about the new Avatar film was, are you using AI? And he's like, no, we absolutely are not using AI in this, because that seems like the sort of perfect vehicle for AI, right? That's fully CG animated. And video games being fully CG animated are going to be a suspect for that. Speaking of controversies around AI,
I'm sure not connected in any sort of way.
Epic's Tim Sweeney, everybody's favorite Tim Sweeney, who it seems like every week is complaining loudly about something that makes him terribly unhappy despite being a multi-billionaire at this point. He has said it quote, makes no sense for game stores to flag AI content. This seems like a pretty direct shot at Steam, which has started flagging games that use AI content in their development. And of course, Tim Sweeney, as head of Epic, is the one in charge of their game store. And so I guess this is like the fault line we're going to see, where the Epic Game Store, which is already not very popular, is not going to flag AI content, and Steam will. And if you're Tim Sweeney, I get it. Like, even if your game, even if Fortnite, right, which is an Epic game, even if your game is not actually using AI, I get you going, we don't want anything that is going to appear on a store page that might make somebody less likely to buy this game. Like, nobody's buying a game because it uses AI, but there might be people who don't buy a game because it uses AI.
Agreed.
So, Tim Sweeney is maybe not a bad person, but he is always has an angle with the things that he's picking a fight over. let's see. Well, let me ask the two of you: would you buy a game that uses AI for its artwork? Would that factor in at all? Maybe it's a better way to ask it.
I think I would be more inclined to still buy something if it was the artwork than say like if you're using it for the story or the narrative that's happening. I mean, that game that I was telling you about earlier, The Root Trees Are Dead, uses a lot of AI for its like imagery, but that's a visual novel where it's, like I said, I'm far more invested in what's actually the story that's being told than whatever the imagery is.
I probably wouldn't buy it. Just because like I get the ease of it, and like I definitely want to support especially some of these like these studios that are, like it is difficult for them right now to make stuff, but I'm also like, but what about the potential artists that could have done, you know what I mean? So I probably would avoid it unless it's a bigger game, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Sorry, I was pulling up on my phone. I couldn't remember the name of it. There's an anime series called Banana Fish.
Okay.
And Amazon did the English dub for it, I guess to be on Amazon Prime, their streaming service. And they used AI to do the dub.
Oh, no.
And it has been just getting raked over the coals.
Yeah.
And so let's see if I can play this.
I read all your moves. I saw right through you.
No, stop, don't do it. Ash!
Skipper, no, please. No, Skipper. Hey, stay with me. Come on, Skipper. Hey, you gotta fight. Don't die on me, Skip. Don't leave me, please.
So it's pretty hilariously bad. Like, don't die on me, spoken with zero emotion, like it's a robot, which is anime. So maybe he is a robot. I can't say. But, I when I hear something like that, I'm like, oh, God, don't do that in games. Like, hire actual voice actors.
Well,
I'd rather you get Bill from accounting to do a voice than use AI.
Yeah.
Well, and that's in Sim, one of the people that I watch has been avoiding a lot of games that have been using AI for voice. He's like, because it's just really hard to get into it. He's like, I'd much rather them just not have voice acting and just have the text than have like the really awful voice acting that like pulls me out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and Mario, you and I have talked about Dispatch. That's part of the entire appeal of that game, right? They went out and got real professional voice actors that sell that material that very easily could have gone wrong. Like the voices for those characters, the like sort of comedy, the satire of what they're doing could have gone horribly wrong. And that game arguably only works because of the really fantastic voice acting.
Yeah. Well, and I think, so that clip that you just played, it undermines everything that's happening in the actual scene. I think as you're talking about, is it just rips you out of whatever that immersion actually would be, of whatever you're expected to be feeling or like trying to feel in any particular moment, because there's just no emotion there at all.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It can't capture that tone, right? Because I think that's something that we at least in like communication studies talk about. Like, it isn't necessarily what you say, but how you say it that communicates so much.
Yep.
And that will almost certainly never be able to fully get at AI. That is, will never be able to fully get at it the way that a human voice actor would be able to.
Agreed.
Yeah, I've been watching the new season of Stranger Things, the first 4 episodes that they dropped, and I've been talking to another college professor friend of mine, and one of the things we've been talking about is like how good Maya Hawke is in that. Like she sells so much of it because she's just a better actress at her age than a lot of the younger actors are.
Yeah.
And like she carries so much of the the humor and the way that she delivers her lines and everything. And I just think about a future where you don't have someone like her. Now, granted, she comes from pretty good pedigree to be doing this. So, you know, Nepo baby, but one who comes about it honestly, I suppose. But, you know, I think of a future and looking at games, looking at, you know, an anime like this where you go, but somebody who's really good, like, just makes you care about this, right? Like, I mean, she's had the best writing as a character this season, but, like, she's also been the best this season outside of somebody like Winona Ryder, who's, like, you know, always fantastic.
They sell it well. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a sort of dark future, I worry.
Speaking of, really quickly, when it comes to Stranger Things, did you see the video game news about Stranger Things?
No. I did see
don't know.
some. I don't know what you're talking about.
One.
So apparently, I don't know if it's the news. I've only watched like the first season, so I don't. But in one of the newer ones, somebody is playing Ghosts and Goblins.
Yep.
And everybody was like, so the year lines up because that game would have come out a year before.
Yes.
But they're showing the arcade version and not the NES version of the game.
Yeah.
I was like, freaking nerds, man.
I thought you were going to say they're so they have a Stranger Things chapter in Dead by Daylight DVD. Yeah. They're going to have
That's our check for this week.
Yeah. That's it.
Dead by Daylight.
I was gonna make a joke like, "Oh yeah, tell me about this. I've never heard of this game. It's been so long."
DVD.
Yeah.
That's why I said Dead by Daylight
what does
first.
it stand for? You're playing DVDs.
Listen,
Are these virtual DVDs at the virtual
the virtual
McDonald's?
no, they're in the game. God.
Is it like the play space where they used to have the TV set up playing
Yes.
Pokemon cartoons?
And while you're in the ball pit, Vecna comes. Mr. What's It himself, like, comes out. And no, but really, they're going to have like a second chapter. I don't know about the survivors, but it's the teaser for it. It's supposed to come out in like January or February. Is just Vecna coming like clouds, and he's kind of coming forward.
Oh, that's right, because the killer is the Demogorgon.
Yes,
From
in the first
previous
one, yeah,
okay.
and then Steve and the older sister that's gonna have her own spinoff on Stranger Things. I forget their names. Her. But yeah, she's
Nancy.
Nancy, thank you.
I can't think of it.
And then I think Jonathan Byers is like a special thing for Steve, but yeah.
I mean,
those
they
two.
got to get the hair right on Steve.
They do. At least I think so.
Like that's
Steve's
his
bowl cut.
No, he's the one with the big like pompadour.
Okay, I didn't know which one Steve is now.
Yeah. No, the bowl cut is Will, the little kid. But
Yeah.
Steve is the
Little kid who's like 19 years old at this point.
yeah. Well, I mean, the best thing about that show is in the 5th season they do a recap, and they very clearly establish that the first season happens in 1983,
Yeah.
which is right. I mean, that lines up with everything that they've shown so far.
I think it's impressive.
And then they're like, okay, this season is in 1987. And then they show the kids today, and clearly more than a decade has aged these kids. Particularly when they get to, I feel like Lucas just looks like a grown man now.
Hey, you ready to go to 6th grade?
That's exactly what it's like.
Well, even Jonathan is like early 30s now, right?
Right.
Close to my age, honestly. Like,
Well, I like
and-
that one that it's like Millie Bobby Brown now has her own child.
Right. Yeah, she's like in her early 20s with her own kid. And
Yep.
you're just like, you're still supposed to be playing like a 15-year-old or something.
Yeah.
There's some weirdness with the timeline there.
Anyways, I saw that about the Ghosts and Goblins. I thought that's fun.
Okay, so I will own up to it.
Was it you?
Well, no,
Oh. Did you tweet them?
but when I saw it, I was like, that's not the NES version.
That Leonardo DiCaprio
Yes,
pointing.
it was the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. I was like, no, that's not right. That's the wrong game. And I was like, well, surely other people are going to catch this and like be talking about it.
I don't need to
it's not
post
just
about
me.
it.
That's not
Somebody
just
else
me.
will get it.
Like, I don't post on public social media almost ever for that very reason, because I know as soon as I post it, somebody would be like, actually. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. If you are watching it, you would instantly go, that's not an NES game. NES games don't look that good. And so that was actually it more than anything when I was watching it. I was like, the NES version of that game does not look that good. What are they doing here?
And that's probably why they didn't use it.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it is. It's one of those things like, at least it's appropriate for the era, right? Like,
Sure.
it's not like they put in something that's a game from 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Or even like a Super Nintendo game, right? It wasn't
sure,
whatever the
Super Ghouls and Ghosts.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that would have been unacceptable. I would have been
Blasphemy.
writing Netflix immediately. How dare you, Netflix? At least it wasn't like it was. At least, you know, what, I can't even keep straight which is which. Ghouls and Ghosts and Ghost and Goblins,
Yes.
which are two different names. One is the Genesis and one is the Nintendo, and I always get confused which is which. Let's see. We talked about this, I think, on the last episode. I think it had just broken when we went in to record the last episode with Mario and me. They had just announced the new Steam machines. We talked about, as part of that, like what the pricing on those might look like. I will say I was pinning the price at $500 because I just thought, why are you making this if you're not doing it aggressively to try to get into living rooms, right? You want to be under people's TV sets. You're going to have to come in at a super competitive price. And I felt like anything over 500 is putting you over a Switch 2 or a PlayStation 5, not an Xbox because they're all crazy price now. But like, that's your competition. So coming in above those with a system looking at the specifications,
You're starting from behind.
right? And one that's looking at the specs is not as powerful as a PlayStation 5 necessarily. Maybe more powerful than a Switch 2, but you know, that's also a handheld system, right?
Yeah, because I was trying to think, did we talk about the Linus Tech Tips video in our last episode? But I was at the airport when I had sent that article.
Yeah. And so anyways, Valve has now in some interviews, various different interviews, there was the Linus Tech Tips one and some other ones, has now come out and said that the Steam machine will be priced comparatively to a similar spec PC. And so some people have taken the specs of this new system and like tried to price it out. What would that actually cost if you were building this yourself? And they've come out to around $700, which seems probably more in line with what this will sell at.
Yeah, and I think,
Which would put it comparably priced to a PlayStation 5 Pro.
yeah,
For comparison.
and I think that's where, you know, as much as I would wanted to believe that $500 number, I just struggled to see, like, that feels like they would be selling, I imagine, at a pretty big loss.
Which we should note they did with the Steam Deck.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like they used the Steam Deck as a loss leader. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the thing I look at with this is, what do they hope to accomplish with this?
No, and I will say your logic makes a ton of sense of like, you need to give people a reason to buy you
Yeah, I mean,
over one of those other consoles.
you can't walk into a store and buy a Steam Deck. You can't walk into Best Buy and buy a Steam Deck. So I will assume this will be similar in that you can only buy it through Steam. You're not going to be able to go into Best Buy and buy it. At $700, the people you're selling that to are the sort of people who can go build their own PC,
probably already have one.
Yeah. Or like maybe not in this form factor, right? This a little tiny cube.
Sure.
So maybe that's harder to do. Those micro ATX cases and everything are a little more difficult to work with. So maybe that's the appeal, but you know, like you can go buy a gaming PC for $700 right now. That's really pretty good. You know, we'll play all games, maybe not at maxed out settings, but we'll play any game coming out these days. So why are you buying this?
I mean, I think it is still because you can hook it up to your television easily, right? Like it is still the console that takes the place of having your PlayStation in the front room. But that's not the reason why I would buy one.
Yeah.
And granted, I already have a PlayStation, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, like that's, I guess that's my issue when I look at the price and everything. This goes from, and when we talked about it originally, I said at $500, I may buy one of these and just put it under my TV. So I have access to my entire Steam library.
Yeah.
At $700, that's a lot harder to justify.
For sure.
And I know somebody can say, well, you know, it's only 40% more, but like that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it becomes much, and that is probably the 512 gigabyte version. That's probably not the 2 terabyte version.
Yeah.
Which they did say you can upgrade that fairly easily. You can take off the case and get access to the hard drive part pretty easily to upgrade. So that's a nice bonus and everything. But, you know, just thinking from my personal needs, desires, use case, this becomes a much harder sell for me personally.
Yeah, you figure if this is the 512, 2 terabytes is at least $100, if not $150 more. At that point, yeah, you're nearing, I mean, over $900 when it comes to tax and all that.
And we should say 700 is still a guess at this. It could be more.
Yeah.
You know, and I think as you approach that $1,000 price point, it becomes really hard.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that does mean it could be less, but that's not the direction I would lean.
Well, apparently it was at the Linus Tech Tips one where they somebody suggested $500 as the price, and they said the Valve people all got really quiet.
I don't know if they gave an actual number, but I think it was the Linus Tech Tips one was it had mentioned it being priced comparatively to the current consoles.
Right.
And that's when they were like, no.
Yeah, I think they said, well,
Maybe it was 500.
They said, what would that price be in your mind? And they said 500, and they said the Valve people just did not respond. They said it got uncomfortable in the room.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I think originally, Mario, when we talked about this, you had said closer to 700. And so, you know, all credit to you that I think you're probably closer to the right price in the end.
I think I had like really doomsday of like, what is this going to be? Like, I was thinking it was going to be, I think the joke I made was like, is going to be the 2025 Neo Geo.
Right.
But then you talked me down. I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, I don't know. It's in some ways I get it, but it is unfortunate.
Yeah, I guess I just, you know, like, what is the use case for this? The Steam Deck makes an awful lot of sense. I took mine home over Thanksgiving. That's what I played games on. There's a really good use case for a Steam Deck. It's not for everyone.
Sure.
But, you know, if you want to take your Steam library on the go, it makes a whole lot of sense. This thing at 700 plus, you know, becomes a harder sell, I feel like, to most people. Let's see. Capcom is working on a new Dead Rising game starring original game star Frank West. You know, those Dead Rising games, that first one is a really cool game. I feel like that series has kind of lost some of its steam and everything, so we'll see where they go with a new one. But playing that on the Xbox 360, having 100 zombies on screen at the same time was a really cool experience. Nintendo is acquiring Bandai Namco Studios Singapore. This has been primarily a support studio, and they have worked with Nintendo in the past, so they helped with some of the Splatoon games in the past. That seems like that's what they would potentially continue to do, is be a support studio, probably specifically with Splatoon, but maybe also with some other games. That's only really kind of interesting in that Nintendo rarely acquires studios. Mm-hmm. So them going out and buying a studio and buying it from Bandai Namco.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think all these other companies, PlayStation, Xbox, have fallen under. Games are so much bigger. They require so much bigger teams now. Nintendo kind of got away with that with the original Switch of keeping their teams smaller. But as they move more into games that are going to be 4K and running at 120 frames a second, like Metroid Prime 4 does, then you start needing more elaborate graphics, more detailed graphics, more 4K resolution, graphical assets, and you need more support studios to help with that.
I remember when I saw this news, I think it just said Nintendo acquiring Bandai Namco. I was like, excuse me? What the hell? But then I saw, I was like, okay, all right.
A lot of Budokai games coming to the Switch soon.
All of the Tales games.
Hey, maybe we'll get a new Ridge Racer out of it if they acquire them.
Maybe. Did Bandai make Ridge Racer?
Namco does.
Oh, okay.
But, Nintendo's already had 2 racing games this year. They need a third. Nintendo betting heavy on racing games.
Maybe they'll make an F-Zero Ridge Racer game.
No, don't. It's not funny, Mario. Long suffered for a new F-Zero. Let's see. Cyberpunk 2077 has passed 35 million copies sold.
That's crazy considering where that game started.
That's why I included this. I saw that number. I was like, really? That game?
That game was a hot mess.
35 million
the hottest
copies.
Of messes.
I mean, we talk about Mario Kart 8, right? And it's passing, I don't know, it's close to 50 million, I feel like now. I know it's over 40 million. And you see this game getting up, inching close to that territory. Like, who thought this game would sell that well? Not me at launch. That game felt, like you said, a hot mess, a disaster at launch.
Yep.
They have announced a Far Cry series. It is going to star Always Sunny's Rob Mack, and it is going to have an anthology format. So each season will be different, which sounds weird at first until you think
about
that
Far Cry.
Yeah, each Far
that
Cry
makes
is
sense.
different.
Yep.
But I guess my thought is, what is a Far Cry series? Like, Far Cry's not known for their stories. Far Cry is known for, the action, open world action game. It is maybe the open world action game. And so I don't know what that looks like as a series.
Especially with Rob McElhenney, because
Wasn't one of them like a middle of nowhere Wyoming like cult leader or something like that? That's
Yeah.
where I'm like, I feel like he could probably play that role.
yeah, he could. I don't know. It's just going to be really hard to see him as anything other than Mac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He can only play characters named him.
Yes.
Because did either of you watch that video game show that he was on?
Mm-mm.
The one where he's like the studio developer leader.
Oh,
I forget what the name is.
on Apple Plus.
I think so.
Yeah.
I can't
I can't remember the name of that show now. I watched the first season of that show.
I feel like I heard it was pretty decent, but I never watched it either, and so
It's better than you think it's going to be.
yeah.
When you sit down and watch it. What's her name? Tiny Tina's voice is in that.
Is that the same? as-
Ashley Birch.
Oh, okay.
I couldn't think for a second. She's in that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's actually a pretty good show. It's kind of worth watching that.
I remember getting announced at a Game Awards, I'm pretty sure, and being like, oh, that's fun. I like Rob McElhenney.
Yeah, I mean, I think that show felt really weird at the time because it was not an adaptation of a game. It was a show set in game development, so it felt really out of place. And then it turned out to actually be good. So I was actually trying to look up and see what the name of that show is because it's really
It's Mythic.
Yeah.
Mythic Quest.
Yes, that's right. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I agree, Christina. I don't know what this show is. I want it to be an adaptation of Far Cry 2. Far Cry 2 is the one set in Africa, and you can like get malaria, and you can also like,
Oh no.
and you're constantly having to treat the malaria like when you get it, and you can also like that game was trying like lots of sort of immersive game development. You could you could walk into a field of high grass and set it on fire, and the fire would spread.
Oh wow.
And that's not a fantastic game, but I like that game a lot because it's doing weird stuff. And then Far Cry 3 is the one that became the template that, I feel like they've repeated and other people have knocked off over the years.
The most recent one is Far Cry 6, the one with the guy from Breaking Bad.
I think there's one after that.
I don't know. That's the last.
You know what Giancarlo
Yeah.
Esposito?
Yes, that's the last one I can think of. But
Okay.
I think Christina's right. There's one after that. that's
At
come
least
out.
of like the numbered entries, right? Because I feel like
they did Primal,
Okay.
which was the one like set with cavemen,
Yeah.
or something. And I think the one you're is the one.
So it looks like Far Cry 7 has been announced, but is expected to be released next
Okay,
year.
maybe that's what I was
Okay.
thinking of.
Because I think
Because you're thinking,
6 is the one with
or is it
yes.
5?
No, it's 6.
It is?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, no, 5's the other one that you were
5
talking
That's the
about.
Wyoming
yes,
one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or some state around there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, Wyoming fits. As someone that used to live in Idaho, which honestly, Idaho would fit too.
One of my favorite Garfield jokes is Garfield saying Wyoming is a made up state. Come on, do you actually know anybody from Wyoming?
I mean, we
know
do know. Well, Casey went to school in Wyoming. At
Oh,
least.
I know.
Sure. I went to school in the made up state.
Josh
But how
Allen
can
went
you
to
check?
school in Wyoming.
How
For
can
any
you
of
ever
the-
check
That's
that?
fair.
The football fans.
I mean, I don't know. She kind of feels like she's from Wyoming. I say that in a positive way for Casey.
How do you know that when you haven't been to Wyoming?
I have. I've driven through it several times.
Have you?
Yeah, it's
Or was
awful.
that just like southern Idaho?
Honestly, it all looked the same. So
See? How do you
you're
know?
Absolutely right. It looked like western Colorado and eastern Idaho.
All
so
those states do kind of turn into one big
they
amalgam.
really do.
It may not be a real place. Garfield was right.
Maybe.
Look, he's right about Mondays.
And lasagna.
I mean, it is delicious.
Yeah.
It's
Wise cat. Let's see. I like this next story. Yuji Horii says this going back to what we talked about earlier, says he, quote, cannot talk about that when asked about a Chrono Trigger remake. And so the internet has lit up over this, and the internet has been like, wait, if you're not doing it, you can certainly say we're not doing that. So why would you not be able to talk about this? A remake, an HD 2D version. This has long been rumored for Chrono Trigger. it's interesting when asked about it that this would be his response
Sure.
and not simply no. We're not doing that. It makes it sound like they are doing it, I guess.
At least there's something, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I was about to say that's probably his way of letting folks know that he is, but he can't talk about it. So it's like
It's like Bruno. He
Yeah.
can't talk about it.
exactly.
Let's see. We alluded to this a little bit earlier. The Xbox price hikes. There are now rumors and worries of another Xbox price hike as RAM prices have surged. This is due to AI. So all these AI farms that are being built, server farms that are being built, data centers that are being built, in order to supply those with RAM, and AI needs a huge amount of RAM, right? So we're not talking 16 gigabytes. These companies are going in to RAM suppliers and saying, we will buy all of your RAM. And that is quickly becoming a problem for anyone else who needs RAM for consumer purposes. So if you are building computers to sell to the general public, if you are trying to upgrade the RAM in your computer, prices have spiked where 16 gigs of RAM in some cases is selling for over $1,000 at stores, which, just to put that in perspective, that's probably like $100 normally, 16 gigs of RAM. I haven't looked at RAM prices in a while, but it's not crazy expensive, generally speaking. And so this is also becoming a problem if you are building any sort of product that needs this RAM, like say an Xbox. And apparently PlayStation bought up a bunch of RAM in advance. So they buy up their components well in advance, where Xbox buys their components much more like on a per needed basis. And so if they are going to build more Xboxes of the Xbox Series S or X, they are going to have to pay inflated RAM prices, which in addition to the inflated prices from tariffs means that they're maybe very likely, according to insiders, going to have to raise the price of the Xbox again.
It's just crazy to think about. I was just telling somebody, I was like, well, the Xbox is kind of failing miserably, so maybe they'll be real cheap, because he was hesitant of like, I don't really want to buy the new one, but the most recent console he has is the Xbox One. And it's starting to get to the point, it's like, there are all these games I do want to play, but I can't play them anymore.
Sure.
So I was like, even like the Series S, is probably like going to be pretty affordable, but unfortunately, it sounds like no.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and maybe the truth is they're just not selling many Xboxes. And so maybe this is less of an issue if nobody's trying to buy an Xbox.
Maybe.
But them raising prices again, I feel like is just almost at the point of you should just throw in the towel and say it's over.
It's just the opposite direction, right? Like at the very least, if you make it like you lower prices, maybe that's your Hail Mary of like,
Sure.
maybe people will start buying them up if we make them so affordable that somebody walks into a store like, well, shoot, I've got some money to spare this holiday season, or I got a holiday bonus or something like that. But when you're going the other way, there ain't no way that somebody's gonna walk into a store and see that and be like, oh yeah, that seems reasonable.
Right.
Well, and I think like there are a lot of people that you're talking about that had an Xbox 360 and then they got an Xbox One. There's still some loyalty historically for that Xbox brand.
Yeah.
And now they're looking at, maybe they're late to upgrading, right? Because a lot of people do wait several years into the generation because you can buy games cheaper and everything. And they're probably looking at it going, well, I want to buy into the current generation of consoles, but Xbox is unaffordable. Like it's just so significantly cheaper for me to buy a Switch or a PlayStation 5. I don't know. And then on top of that, the fact that how much is Xbox going to continue to support or third party support? the Xbox.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess Xbox, everything will continue to come out on Xbox that they make. But I do start to look at a lot of third-party developers and say, why are you making a version for this? You should be making a version for PlayStation, PC, and Switch.
Yeah, I mean, especially if we talk about, companies are needing to cut costs and,
Right.
How do we make our games less expensive? Well, if we just stop making them entirely for one of the consoles. It's got to be a little cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not saving the cost of a full development of a new game, but it is cutting some of the costs from that game, right? Yeah, so that's not good. There was a late breaking story here that happened, I guess today this got announced, and this relates to RAM prices and everything. Crucial, who is one of the major consumer RAM providers, they are owned by Micron, is the umbrella company. But Crucial announced that they are getting out of the commercial consumer RAM business. So that's going to be when you go on Amazon or go to Best Buy to buy a RAM upgrade, there's going to be one less company selling RAM. One of the major ones. And that is so that Micron can instead take the RAM that they are producing and sell it to these AI server farms. Which we could talk about the bubble that is AI in the tech industry right now.
It's interesting to think that, 5 years ago, we talked about was it the microchips? Because it was all the crypto farms that were, buying up all of them.
It was the GPUs, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And so it's interesting to think about these bubbles and how much we think of them as maybe like there's no way that lasts. Well, it might not, doesn't matter if it lasts. The impact is still happening significantly.
Yeah. And when you talk about the price of the Steam machine, right? Like this is something that affects that.
Yeah.
Does Valve already have that RAM? Are they trying to source that RAM right now today as the price is going out of control? That certainly has an effect. One last story. This also I just saw today. The Commodore 64 Ultimate is slated to ship by Christmas. They have upgraded the RAM to 128 megabytes from the original 64 kilobytes, which gave the Commodore 64 its name. It is supposedly 99% compatible with all accessories and cartridges and anything else, and it is going to ship by Christmas. They are planning for $300. I still have our old Commodore 64 sitting in a box at my house. It is not connected to anything. I love the Commodore 64. I don't know who this is for, really. Like a very small market. Yeah, but I don't know if I'll buy it, right? Like, I mean, if it's just playing those old games, then you have to say, well, do you have a huge collection of this? Is it easier just to run an emulator?
Sure.
Right? That's the sort of software that can run very easily in emulation.
Yeah.
Do you just want that classic beige bread box design setting somewhere in your house? I mean, it's cool looking, don't get me wrong, but it is
purely nostalgia.
Yeah. I mean, it is the equivalent of, the Lego Atari 2600 that they sell. Like that's cool looking, but is also $200+.
Yeah.
Anyways, so one of the big news items that came out was that they have announced the Game Award nominations. So for our big question of the week, we are going to run through the nominations really quickly and give you our predictions for who we think will win.
I love how you have on here, see back, pick together. It felt like you were writing to me of being like, don't try to answer the question on your own again. Christina, like, we're going to pick together.
You are exactly right. That was put on there for you.
I appreciate appreciate it. I wasn't being sarcastic about appreciating it. Thank you. I thrive with clear instruction.
I originally just had C back, and then I was like, oh, they're going to misread that and think they have to pick individually.
I would have.
Let's make sure it's clear we're doing this together.
It's a group project.
My favorite is when my students are complaining in class about how much they hate group projects, and I go, your next assignment is a group project. And then there's a complete deflation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so this is not our picks. We will do that after the holidays. We will do our Game of the Year awards and everything. That's not this. We are picking who we think will win the game awards this year. We are not doing all of the categories, unbelievably, because there's quite a few on here. I did cut some like, what was it, like Streamer of the Year, because I was like, I don't know who any of these people are. And I'm not sure that either of you know who they are either. There was also like Esports Athlete of the Year, and I was like, I don't know who any of these people are. It's like Popsicle is one of them, and I was like, okay, whatever. So instead, we are going to look at some of the bigger awards, kind of run through these real quick as a way to both say, here are the nominees. The Game Awards are next week. I believe they are next Thursday night. So that's the 11th, I believe. Yeah, the 11th. But you can go ahead and have our predictions.
Sorry, I had to look up the content creator of the year just because I was curious, and one of them is the Burnt Peanut, and it's just a burnt peanut. Okay, I'm done.
I mean, that would be really great if that really was what showed up on screen.
Honestly,
when
yeah.
they were playing games. All right, so Game of the Year. We'll start off with the biggie. Game of the Year nominations are Claire Obscure, Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2 on the Beach, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silksong, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. So who do we think will actually win the award for this?
I do think it'll be Claire Obscure.
That's what I circled.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it doesn't win, then Donkey Kong is probably
number 2.
The winner. But I think Claire Obscure has the momentum.
Yeah, I think it's the runaway favorite. It does, like I said, that doesn't mean it's 100% going to win, but I'll be surprised if it doesn't.
Next category. Like I said, we're going to run through these fairly quickly. Next category is Best Narrative. Again, Claire Obscure is nominated, Death Stranding 2, Ghosts of Yote, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and Silent Hill F.
I'd probably go with the same thing, at least on this
Honestly,
one.
yeah.
Is Claire Obscure.
Just because the narrative was so surprising. Like, Silent Hill F was really good, but it's a Silent Hill game. Like,
and maybe this, I'll also be honest, is I'm unfamiliar with the narratives of the other games here.
Sure.
Claire Obscure is the only one that I've played. It's the only one that I've really looked into. I have interest in... Silent Hill F was on sale, and I've been really considering it.
it's a very good addition to the franchise.
But
very good.
I really liked the story of Claire Obscure as
same.
well. I think it has a very good story. Both like what you get at the very beginning, but then how that continues to build throughout. I would probably put it there.
I feel like Claire Obscure, that's the thing you hear everyone talk about when they talk about the game.
It's the story. Yeah.
Like, even as much as people like the mechanics and the music and other things, like the one thing everyone seems to universally praise is the story in that game. And I don't feel like anything else has had quite that momentum this year.
Yeah.
Even though, as noted, some of these others have very good stories, like Silent Hill Elf. All right. The next one is Best Art Direction. Again, Claire Obscure, Death Stranding 2, Ghosts of Yote, Hades 2, and Hollow Knight Silksong.
I think Ghost of Yote is gorgeous.
I was going to say Ghost of Yote. I mean, the original one had the Kurosawa mode that you could play the game in. This one adds 2 more, like the Shinichiro Watanabe, and there's another one. Miike. I'm not sure who that director is, but I think that those modes are very cool as like an homage to Japanese film.
For sure.
So I would probably say Yote for that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think Yote is gorgeous.
Assuming that falls under art direction at least.
Yeah. I think Hades 2 and Death Stranding 2 might have an argument in that.
Yeah, Death Stranding 2 is my number 2.
You know, I think maybe the only issue with Hades 2 is that it looks a lot like Hades 1.
Yeah.
So I think Ghost of Yote is probably the winner in that category.
I would say same thing with Hollow Knight. Is it just
Sure,
it's a
it looks
great
like
looking
more-
game. It's the kind of the same game though.
Yeah. Well, the same style.
Sure.
Best score in music. We have Hollow Knight Silksong, Hades 2, Clair Obscur, Ghost of Yote, and Death Stranding 2. I would say Clair Obscur probably wins this because, again, this is if the story is the number one thing I hear people talk about, the music is number 2.
Yeah, that's what I have circled.
I think the music in that game is really great. I think it's also just a cool story that like they found this guy on SoundCloud. Like he's not an established composer and he just made this incredible soundtrack and score.
Yeah, so we'll go with Clair Obscur on that one. The next one is Games for Impact. So this is sort of their games with a mission, games trying to impact the world in some way. Nominations for that are not Clair Obscur, Consume Me, Despelote, Lost Records, Bloom and Rage, South of Midnight, and Wanderstop.
I had only played one on this list, and so that was the only one I circled because it's the only one that I knew. It's South of Midnight.
Okay. As I say, I played South of Midnight. I think that's a really cool game. I think the story of that game is really cool. I've heard some pretty incredible things about Despelote. It's the one that I'm interested in checking out. So, I'd have to probably say one of those two, but I can't really speak too deeply about any of them other than having played South of Midnight. But I think it does some really incredible things about like highlighting like the culture, but I'm not sure what else to pull from that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that game is all about representation.
Yeah.
Right? Representing a culture that is very rarely seen, not just in games, but in popular media, I would say. I think we talked about that at the time, when you were playing through it. I've heard probably more discussion around Despelote as far as people just being really impressed with what it's doing, what it's talking about, and everything. So I think I would lean towards that probably winning. But I would say I'm a little kind of open on this category because I have not played most of these games. I really want to play. Is Lost Records the one I'm thinking of? Yeah, that's the one I still haven't played. I need to play that at some point.
Yeah.
And I'm completely unfamiliar with what Consume Me and Wanderstop are.
Yeah, same.
So it's hard to speak to that one, to either of those at all.
Let's see. Next is Best Ongoing Game. It's Final Fantasy XIV, Fortnite, Helldivers 2, Marvel Rivals, and No Man's Sky.
I think I would give this to Marvel Rivals just because it's the newest of all of those games.
Yeah. I had circled Helldivers 2 just because it was such a big game for us last year, but I also don't know how it's been updated and stuff. So
I think they've done a good job. I think that game's lost some of its, kind of excitement over the last year, which is understandable because, it's been out a year, though it did have a huge launch on the Xbox this year.
I do think, and I think the fact that we had talked about this before the show, the fact that they were able to reduce its size so much, its download size, may inspire people to re-download it and start playing it again if they had uninstalled for whatever reason. Like, oh, this is only taking up a fraction of my hard drive now. Yeah, sure, I'll download it again and hop on.
Yeah. I think probably Marvel Rivals, but I'm kind of up in the air on this. I could see Fortnite, especially here at the end of the year. Fortnite, I feel like has had a really good turn with the Simpsons stuff and like the new season with the big event they kicked off that was like basically a Ready Player One played out.
I think Final Fantasy 14 had an expansion this year,
but I don't think it was well received.
Yeah, that's a game that I continually want to check out, but have never gotten around to. But I think, like I said, I would lean Marvel Rivals just as the newest of the games, and that's a year old at this point as well.
Let's go with that one for now. Best independent game: Absalom, Ball X Pit, Blueprints, Clair Obscur, Hades 2, and Hollow Knight Silksong. We should note that 3 of these games are nominated for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Which makes it seem really unfair to the other 3, which are, at least Ball X Pit and Blueprints I've played and are fantastic games. I want to play Absalom.
Yeah, I think this is one where I know it won't win, but I think I want to see Blueprints win the most, even though I didn't love that game the way that other people did. I think that's a game that deserves to get highlighted in a category like this.
I have it for the next category because this one's best independent and the next one is best debut independent. And again, Blueprints, Clair Obscur are both nominated, and I can see Blueprints taking the debut as opposed to independent. But Despelote is also on best debut, so
that's the one that I think will probably end up winning debut, in my opinion. But I don't know.
Yeah, so do we think Clair Obscur just wins this?
Yeah.
Clair Obscur is my game of the year, but I will say yes. Unfortunately, I think it wins in this category. And I say unfortunately because I really don't think it should be in this category.
Yeah, and I think maybe that's the thing where maybe people vote for something else because they voted for Clair Obscur for Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Like, you're voting for it for Game of the Year, so you vote for something else in this category. It's what happens in baseball sometimes,
Sure.
I feel like, where some pitcher has an amazing season. You're like, well, he's already winning Cy Young, so let's give MVP to someone else.
Sure.
Unless it's Dennis Eckersley.
Or Shohei Ohtani.
Well, Shohei Ohtani is like a freak, so he's the only baseball player who could conceivably win every award in a season. So Clair Obscur for best indie game.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you. I agree with both of you about Blueprints. Like, I think if I was giving the award, I'd give it to Blueprints. Best debut indie game: Blueprints, Clair Obscur, Despelote, Dispatch, and Megabonk. Good to see Megabonk get some acknowledgement here.
Well, I think this is the one where Megabonk pulled out.
Oh, right. Yeah,
'cause
they're not in here.
Yeah.
Right.
They had originally, but then the developer said, hey, this is not my debut game.
Right, because I've released games under other studio names.
Yeah.
All right, so we're down to only 4 nominations. I do think this is the category where maybe somebody other than Clair Obscur wins. I think maybe they give it to someone else just because they want to spread the wealth around. And I think most people are pretty certain that Clair Obscur wins either Best Indie Game or Game of the Year.
Yeah, I think this is one where I do wonder. So, like, if Clair Obscur and Dispatch are kind of in similar footing here, where it's like, this is a group of developers who were at a previous studio who have now gone to a new studio, and this is their first game under this new studio. And I don't know if that would be held against them, but part of me feels like that's a very different situation in thinking about a debut game as compared to something like Blueprints, where like this is just the first full game that this person has made, or Despelote.
And made by himself.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so I wonder if the voters would consider something like that. But I don't know.
We should say, like, my understanding is that like different video game websites and outlets get 1 vote. So not everybody at GameSpot gets a vote, but GameSpot gets one vote collectively.
Right.
So there does have to be some discussion and
Sure.
everything as part of this, that I think you do see some of that vote trading, so to speak, of we already voted for this game, let's spread the wealth around. And that makes me feel like Blueprints may actually win this category.
Sure.
Let's see. Best action game. Battlefield 6, Doom the Dark Ages, Hades 2, Ninja Gaiden 4, Shinobi Art of Vengeance.
This feels like your category, Justin.
I think you played most of these games, if not
Yeah.
all of them.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Hades 2 is maybe the obvious answer because it's nominated for Game of the Year. But I feel like Battlefield 6 and Shinobi also might win this. Like, because Battlefield 6, what other award do you give it?
Sure.
I think there is a sound design category that I cut that it got nominated in. So it might win in that. Shinobi, this also feels like the category that it might win. But I think probably this is where Hades actually gets an award.
Yeah, especially if Hades hasn't won anything or like.
And I don't think it does in any of these other categories.
Yeah, I think that's very fair.
I think this is where you go, hey, like this is your sort of participation trophy.
This is recognition that you were a very good game, but you're not going to win anything else probably. So
Yeah.
we're putting our vote to you here.
Best action adventure is Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotei, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Hollow Knight, and Split Fiction.
I think you could say the same thing about Hollow Knight in this category. I do think Split Fiction. It's funny. Like I know Death Stranding is nominated for Game of the Year, and Split Fiction isn't. I would almost give it to Split Fiction ahead of Death Stranding too, but that might be wrong.
So you think Hollow Knight wins?
I think Hollow Knight. I think Hollow Knight ends up winning, but there's a part of me that feels like Split Fiction would be second here.
I had Split Fiction circled.
Yeah, I mean, I think this might be very much like we just talked about Hades 2, where, hey, we're not voting for this game for Game of the Year, so we're going to make sure we vote for it here.
Yeah.
But I think Split Fiction, for me, is, number 2.
Yeah.
Like, I think a lot of people would vote for it in here because, again, it's not nominated,
Yeah.
in any of the other big categories. So Hollow Knight. The next category is Best RPG. We have Avowed, Clair Obscur, Kingdom Come Deliverance, The Outer Worlds 2, Monster Hunter Wilds. This is Clair Obscur, easy.
Oh, it's funny. I was actually thinking that it might not win this one, but maybe it does because of the combat mechanics. But I'm thinking of like, as an RPG, like, are these other games doing something? And part of me thinks like, I think people loved Avowed so much because it started to scratch some of that old Skyrim itch.
Sure.
And if people might vote for it for that reason.
But I wonder in that case, do you give it to Kingdom Come Deliverance? Because again,
That was my number 2.
this is the thing it wins.
That is the other one, and I think it's just a lack of familiarity with Kingdom Come in terms of what type of RPG. Is it more of an action RPG or a turn-based RPG? That I don't know. I've watched zero of it, so that's my thinking there is strictly out of a lack of familiarity.
Sure. So I think Clair Obscur.
I think that's fine. I'm not going to be.
Wins.
I'm not going to be surprised if it does win.
I mean, again, this is what we think will win, not necessarily what we think should win.
Sure.
Because if I was saying what should win, I would probably pick one of these others because I'd already given Clair Obscur Game of the Year.
3 other awards.
Yep.
Right. Let's see. Best fighting game is 2XKO, Capcom Fighting Collection 2, Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection, Virtual Fighter 5 Revo World Stage.
I have nothing circled because I have not played any of these or looked at them or anything.
2XKO is the League of Legends fighting game.
Right.
Okay.
I think the thing that's weirdest about this category is 3 of these are sort of collections or reissues
Yeah.
of older games.
Is that Fatal Fury? Is that the other one?
No, Virtual Fighter
Oh,
5,
Virtua Fighter 5,
Mortal
okay.
Kombat, and Capcom Fighting. Fatal Fury is an entirely new game. It is a sequel to Mark of the Wolves. So this is City of the Wolves. But everything I read about that game was people were very disappointed in it.
Oh, well, okay.
Fans of the original. So I think 2XKO probably wins it because I don't imagine you give this to Capcom Fighting Collection, like as cool as that is, or as cool as the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. It doesn't feel like, it feels like you'd want to give it to a new original game.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that this is the category where, like, where do I see something making it to like Evo or one of those big fighting game tournaments? And I feel like I'd probably much sooner see 2XKO than whatever it's called than any of those other ones. Like, I don't think anybody's, Evo's not going to have their big tournament of Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection. It's just going to be of whatever the newest Mortal Kombat is.
Next is Best Family Game, and this may be one of the more goofy categories here. We have Donkey Kong Bonanza, Lego Party, Lego Voyagers, Mario Kart World, Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and Split Fiction.
I circled Donkey Kong because my thought was, like, if it doesn't win Game of the Year, Best Family makes sense. But also Split Fiction is good. And I've heard lots of good things about Lego Party. I don't know about Game of the Year or even Family Game of the Year, but I've heard good things about it.
Yeah, same. I've heard that's like the best Mario Party game ever.
I was actually going to say Lego Party. I think because I know that there's an entirely different category for best multiplayer game, but I guess I think about the family game as a multiplayer type of category of like, what's the one you're going to play with your family? Donkey Kong Bonanza is a single player game. I mean, like,
well, I think it maybe more means like family friendly.
I get that, but if that's the case, I still don't know why Split Fiction is here.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, as we talked about, their last game, It Takes Two, is not really a family-friendly game, being about their parents going through a divorce and the emotional trauma it has on the children.
It is the most family game, but also the least family game.
Gather around, children.
I think Donkey Kong wins this just because I don't think it wins Game of the Year here, and I think they give it this because this is the next category for it to win.
I think that's very fair.
Let's see. Best sim or strategy game. The Alters, Final Fantasy Tactics, The Ivalice Chronicles, Jurassic World Evolution 3, Sid Meier's Civilization 7, Tempest Rising, and 2 Point Museum.
Again, nothing circled because I remember you talked about 2 Point Museum, right?
Yeah, which those games are really good. I could completely see that winning, except that this is now the fourth game like that they've made, because they had 2 Point Hospital and 2 Point University.
Yeah.
And those are all really great games. Fantastic games. But I wonder if that hurts it because it's the third one of those and they're all fairly similar.
Yeah.
I think I'd say Civ just because of name recognition, but that's all I've got. But like, these are also the categories at this point that Jeff Keighley tells us who wins. They don't actually have like an award.
They don't let anybody come up on stage.
I feel like I have heard good things about the Alters though as well.
That was the only one that really looked familiar besides the 2 Point Museum.
And Final Fantasy is a remake, so I think I'm holding that against it.
I mean, that's a great game.
Sure.
The original, I haven't played this new one, but like there's a remake of an original, right? Yeah, I think I lean towards the Alters just because I think the rest are probably hurt by being a new game in a franchise or a remake of a remaster of a franchise.
Oh, and now I'm just realizing, is that Tempest like the same Tempest as like the old, like arcade Tempest?
No.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say,
not in sim game.
Well, but that's what it is, right? Like that's what I'm wondering. Like you just saying, it's like these others are games in the same franchise.
Oh,
that is not the same.
No.
Okay.
I don't think so. I don't think it has anything to do with that. So I lean towards the altars, though. I think civilization is the other possibility in this category.
Yeah.
I just don't know how many people actually played the altars. The people I know who did play it love that game because it's a really kind of weird game. So what do we want? Altars or Civ?
Altars is fine.
Let's see. Almost done. Best sports racing game. Sports or racing game / racing game. EA Sports FC 26. That is FIFA for those who can't keep track of their naming conventions. F1 25, Mario Kart World, Rematch, or Sonic Racing Cross Worlds.
Racing and soccer.
Yeah.
The entire spectrum of sports.
Is a very Eurocentric category.
Yeah.
Honestly, yeah.
It's the sports that are popular in Europe.
And Mario Kart and Sonic.
Well, they're at the Olympics.
That's true. And it's the Winter Olympics, but it's also in Europe, so it's fine.
I think Mario Kart World probably wins this.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of feels I guess I know Rematch was really popular for a short-lived period of time. So that's the only reason why I might be thinking that. I don't even know how much people really liked that game, but it was really popular.
Yeah, I mean, I think that game could. I just if I was playing, I wonder how much people's disappointment in Mario Kart World hurts it in this category.
Yeah. And that's kind of then makes me lean, if it's not Mario Kart, is it Sonic?
Oh, I think Rematch. If it's not Mario Kart World, I think Rematch wins.
I mean, I do agree with that, but I guess if it's one of the racing games, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know how much people liked Cross Worlds.
I think most people liked it. I played that demo and I thought it was pretty good for what it was. I've not played the full game.
But I'm fine with either Mario Kart or Rematch here. Neither of those would surprise me.
What do you think, Christina? You just played some Mario Kart World.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean that's where I was leaning, but again, that's because I didn't really hear much about the others. So I lean Mario Kart just based on name recognition, and then Rematch is a number 2.
Let's see. Best multiplayer is Arc Raiders, Battlefield 6, Elden Ring, Night Rain, Peak, and Split Fiction. It's good to see Peak get a nomination.
I
there.
wish Peak wins this. I know it won't, but I would love it so much. It really feels like this is a one game. One of these is not like the other in this category.
I'm surprised this is the only nomination that Arc Raiders got. I wonder how much it was hurt by the time nominations had to be in, that it had maybe just released. It feels like it would have been right around the same time. But I feel like momentum behind that game has only grown since it released.
Yeah.
And by the time people were voting, they would vote heavily for this game.
Yeah, I think there's a part of me that wants to say Night Rain just because it's Elden Ring, but there is potentially some recency bias in the ways that people would vote, and that vote would go to Arc Raiders.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't surprise me.
All right.
But I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Peak.
For Peak.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, this is always the problem with awards, right? Like, you have something like Peak that is maybe just as cool in a different way, and it just gets snubbed. Last category, and certainly least.
We don't really need to talk about this one. We know who's winning.
Yeah. Chicken Jockey.
I was about to say a Minecraft movie.
Obviously.
Best adaptation nominees are a Minecraft movie, Devil May Cry, The Last of Us Season 2, Splinter Cell Death Watch, and Until Dawn. I have seen 3 of these. I will tell you, Until Dawn is a bad movie.
Yeah.
A Minecraft movie is a bad movie.
Well, it was debatable. It made $1 billion. It made $1 billion.
Because of children.
Wow. Okay.
And most children do not have taste.
Okay. Jeez.
I will say it got tickets from the 2 of us and Alicia.
I'd say one of these made me laugh harder than just about anything else in a while.
I will say I did laugh harder at a Minecraft movie than The Last of Us Season 2.
I
Have you
honestly,
considered that?
so I loved season 1, but I didn't watch season 2 because I've played the games and I know what happens. And I was like, my heart cannot take that. So, yeah.
So a Minecraft movie it is.
I guess so. Chicken jockey.
Chicken jockey.
Devil May Cry, I know people did not like a whole lot because it has some like try hard edgelord dialogue in it that people kind of push back against. And so I think it's probably between The Last of Us and Splinter Cell because I think people tended to like that. You're scoffing at me not saying a Minecraft movie. I just like, who is voting for this? If it were just the fans, and I know the fans do count for like 10, 15% of the vote.
Yeah. The people, the power of the people is impressive.
Maybe, right? Maybe the chicken jockey fanatics vote for it. But the critics, I just can't imagine any of the critics voting for a Minecraft movie.
No, it'll probably be The Last of Us. Freaking boring as hell.
I mean, it's the safe vote.
It is
Yeah.
a state vote, honestly.
I think, probably Splinter Cell's the more interesting vote.
Jeff Keighley, do what the Oscars won't.
Minecraft movie.
Oh, that Minecraft movie. The fact that movie had such a large cast, there were just characters that were just standing around in the background in scenes. Like, I have nothing to do. Emma Myers throughout that's her name, right?
Yes.
Throughout that entire movie is just standing around like, I have nothing to do. Like, she looked noticeably bored. I expect her to take out her cell phone and start like checking TikTok during that movie. That's nothing against her as an actress. It's just that movie. All right. Well, that does it. We will see in a week and a day, in 8 days, like how right or wrong we are on all these. I mean, the big categories are what I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what wins Game of the Year. I think Clair Obscur does have the momentum. That seems to be the one that everybody's talking about, but you just never know. I mean, when It Takes Two won a few years ago, that was a shock. Like,
I feel like Sekiro was a pretty big shock when it won as well.
Yeah,
And it was the FromSoft game, and obviously people loved it, but I feel like it beat out. Well, I don't remember, but it beat out some big
names.
ones. Yeah,
yeah. So you just never know. Like with the way the voting happens and everything, there could always be big surprises. Anyways, that does it for this episode of the Saluki Gamescast. Thank you to Mario and Christina for joining me. Thank you for everyone listening. As always, you can check out more content by going to salukigames.com. You can also email us with questions, comments. You can rant and yell at us about our choices and tell us how wrong we are. By emailing at justin.young@siu.edu. But until next time, that does it for this episode of the podcast. Have a fantastic week. Take care of yourself. Play something fun, and we will talk to you again soon.